We will start with the turncoat training right now. So turncoat is basically the way how you see the term, right? It says turncoat. So it's basically a speech event where you're supposed to speak for both sides because you're turning your own coat, right? So it looks like first you're supporting a topic where you're saying, yes, let's say smoking is good. And then you're going to go against yourself and you're going to say, no, smoking is actually bad, right? So you're basically taking two sides in the same speech. So how long is your speech? It is for 3 minutes. So a speaker in turncoat event or in a
Okay.
speech speaks for the topic and then speaks against the topic. For example, I think Barbie is overrated. So first you'll say that Barbie is actually overrated, and then you will say, no, Barbie is actually not overrated. It's actually worth the kind of hype that it's getting, right? So just know that time limit for juniors is going to be 3 minutes. For middle category, it's 4 minutes. Okay. So because most of you all are from junior category, it's 3 minutes. But what exactly are you supposed to do in those 3 minutes? You're first supposed to start with an introduction. So what does the introduction or what could the introduction look like? I'll just give you in a bit. But so just try to understand what the format looks like of your speech, because 3 minutes is a lot. So what exactly should you speak in order to have good content in your speech? First, start with the introduction to the topic, then go ahead and give some points for the motion or topic. Then you would say some points against the motion, and you'll finally conclude your speech. So introduction, for the topic, against the topic, and then conclusion of the speech. So for 4 parts, and some like you are supposed to also do it with me, okay? So, and that's a very good question. In introduction, you can always start with a good quote. You can always start with like quoting, let's say, good writers, authors, etc., or probably use certain statements that you think are going to be very rhetorical and appealing to people. So it's always good to start. Let's say it's also good for you to start if the topic is about Barbie. You can probably use a dialogue from Barbie that you really like, which is probably going to gain a lot of attention. So it's all up to you for you to basically have as much amount of creativity in your speeches. So just know, turncoat means you're supposed to turn your own side within the speech. You have 3 minutes of total time of your speech. You can't speak more than 3 minutes. If you want to exceed by mistake, you're only gonna get a grace period of 15 seconds. Okay, so the max that you can speak is 3 minutes 15 seconds. After that, the judges are going to do this, which means that they're not going to write. Okay, so they're not going to write after 3 minutes 15 seconds, and then also going to reduce your scores. So do not speak more than 3 minutes. Motion, which is topic for all 3 rounds for turncoat, is going to be released today by the end of the training session. So what's the point of giving you topic without even you knowing what turncoat is? That's why I'm first going to tell you what turncoat is, give you all tips, and then I'll give you what your topics are and clarifications for the topic. You will also know your room allocations, which means that if I'm in turncoat, which room should I join on Zoom link and everything, you'll get all of it on 4th of August. So let's say if I'm Tejas, I'll know probably I'm going to like move to room 2 and all of that. So you will know if you are speaking in turncoat, which room you're supposed to go by 4th of August. Okay, I will now entertain questions specifically on this slide. Do you guys have any questions? Just raise your hand. I think Vardhan has question, but you're in you're in both WSGC and TC. Go on.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, whatever you are saying and this whole like PowerPoint presentation will be sent in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
The whole timings and schedule.
Yes.
And ma'am, in turncoat, we will have different rounds for the for and against the motion, and then the conclude.
That's a very good question. So let's say for round 1, this is just an example. Let's say for round 1, your topic is Barbie is bad. So in that same round, you're first supposed to talk for the motion and against the motion within 3 minutes. I will tell you as to how you're supposed to structure your speech within those 3 minutes so you cover all of it. But yeah, that's how it is going to be. So in all rounds, you're speaking for and against the topic that is given to you.
So we will have to speak, we will have 3 debates in.
You'll have 3 times or 3 speeches. So you'll prepare 3 speeches. Yes.
Okay. Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, I'll choose. Just give me a second. Ishar Veer.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, if we want to change from Turncoat to WSGC, so what can we do?
You are supposed to email hello Ogly. I think the email is on chat box. But that's an email. Hello, ugly. And then,
Ma'am, I also want to change.
okay, all those who want to change your format, you're
So let me chime in over here. All of you have already applied for something, so we don't entertain changes. Okay, but if you do desire to do that, please put an email right now. Otherwise, you understand, right? Organizing this becomes difficult. So if you must do it, please put it on the chat box, or not on the chat box, on the email that I put in the chat box. Can you all see the email? hello@ogly.ai, right? Otherwise, by end of the day, the teams are already formed. Okay, yeah, carry on, Afri.
okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Tejas, what's your doubt?
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Ma'am, do we have to speak the same speech in all 3 rounds of qualifiers?
Because you have 3 topics, you'll have 3 different speeches.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I will take your name. Just give me a second. Do not unmute. Ekam Jot. Ekam Jot, what's your doubt? Okay, I'll move to Avyukta. What's your doubt?
Ma'am.
Okay, so Afrin, carry on, and if they still have a doubt, they'll put it on the chat box, right? All of you who are not able to articulate, use the chat box. That's also fine. I'm watching it.
All right. So I think this is what the introduction in terms of Turncoat looks like. But let's go into depth training of what Turncoat and how you're supposed to make your speeches. Okay. So I think it's clear as of now that you're supposed to speak for both sides, but you're supposed to also speak in both sides by way of ideally dividing your time equally. So because your time limit for junior category is 3 minutes and you're supposed to do 4 things, right? Introduction, then you're supposed to do for the motion, against the motion, and then you're supposed to conclude. So 4 things. So you're supposed to do 30 seconds of introduction and 30 seconds of conclusion. And then the rest of the time is 2 minutes, which means that you will divide those 2 minutes equally, which looks like 1 minute speaking for the motion and 1 minute speaking against the motion. So I'll give you the example. So if the topic is money cannot buy happiness, what you'll start is you'll basically start with a 30 seconds introduction. Then for 1 minute, you're going to talk about why money cannot buy you happiness. And then you'll shift and talk about why money can actually buy you happiness. And then you're going to use 30 seconds in order to conclude your argument. So conclusion could probably look like you being neutral. So you could be like, hey, I think money cannot buy you everything in terms of, let's say, family, friends, emotional support. But money can actually buy you, let's say, good house, a very comfortable bed, which also indirectly gives you happiness. Which is why, even though money is something which is important for you, you shouldn't completely rely on that in order to derive happiness. So that's, you take the neutral stance in the last 30 seconds. So 2 tips from this slide. 1, divide your time equally for the topic and against the topic, which looks like for junior category 1 minute for the motion and 1 minute against the motion. But secondly, in your conclusion, you're supposed to be neutral and give creative balance between both for and against of the topic. Are there any questions from this particular slide then? Trida, your question is, can topic on paper? Yes, any topic which is related to popular culture can come, but I think K-pop is a part of pop culture.
Excuse me, ma'am.
You're not supposed to do ma'am. I'm not going to give you a chance for speaking if you do that. Do no interruptions. Okay. If there are questions now, raise your hand. I'll give you the opportunity to speak. Okay, Sonali.
Ma'am.
Ira, go on.
Ma'am, do we have to can we read the speech or do we have to learn it up?
That's again a good question. You can refer to the speech, but you can't read it completely. So you can have notes, which could look like just probably looking at it once in a while in your speech, but do not read the entire speech. So probably try to by heart some part of it, and then only for your reference, you can probably put chits and then refer from it, but do not read the entire speech. Gurmeher. Agamveer.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, money doesn't always give pleasure, ma'am. May I speak?
No, so this was just an example. So I was just giving you an example of how you can debate. Was not just like, this was not a topic open for debate.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute then.
Yes.
I wanted to ask because 5th of August is a Saturday, and what some schools are working, and even I have some classes. How are we
Gurmeer,
to arrange
we have
that?
taken this date into consideration for majority of the students who applied. So we will not be changing the date. But I think what will be helpful to know is that all the turncoat debates will happen in the morning. But you're right. I mean, I don't think you can do school if you're going to do this tournament. You'll have to take it up with the school. I'm happy to, sort of mention the fact that you are participating, but we won't be changing the date of the tournament for this.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Ma'am, actually, the thing is that I am participating in both. I am doing WTC as well as Turncoat.
So have the chat with your parent. I mean, I don't want to sort of say that skip school, but it's your call to take. I'm just laying it out very clearly for you that it's going to be a long day then. And in the last tournament also, we did have a student who did 3 rounds of turncoat, 3 rounds of dramatic adaptation, and then debated and loved it and asked us for more.
Also
And I can
broke.
sense that energy.
So that person was able to
Right?
manage.
What are the
Yeah, and he broke.
criteria
He
for
broke
getting
in the sense
maximum?
he went on. Yeah. Sorry?
Ma'am, what is the for getting maximum marks?
We'll come to that first up, Seeklo. Let's just go over the format because format is very technical. Whatever Afreen ma'am is saying today, the judge is going to judge you on it, right? So let's prepare for that and I'll tell you what is the maximum points. So Afreen ma'am, please, can you please finish so that we make sure that everybody understands this well?
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Or just once again, Afreen, I just do want to call upon if there are any middle category students over here, Afreen, just give them their time breakup as well because some of them weren't able to move. Right?
So for juniors, it's 3 minutes. For middle, it is 4 minutes. So your time breakup would look like 30 seconds of introduction, 30 seconds of conclusion again. But you'll have, I think, 2 minutes. You'll have no. You'll have 3 minutes left, which means 1.5 minutes for your speech and 1.5 minutes for your against. So 30 seconds intro, 1 minute 30 seconds of supporting the motion, 1 minute 30 seconds opposing the topic, and then your conclusion. So
Yeah.
just remember, first the conclusion and introduction always is 30 seconds. Rest of the time divided by 2 is going to be your for and against time.
Yeah, we'll send this across in your groups as well, so don't worry about that. Let's go into what really is the best thing to do for turncoat, Afreen. I think
All
that's
right. So the first thing, make it to a point to your, like, to prepare your speech in such a way, but also like practice it in such a way that you exactly fit in the time. But ensure that, let's say, if you have put a point in for which says that, let's take an example. So if your point says that Barbie is good because it basically inspires a lot of children in terms of what to do, what not to do. I think you can also rebut, which means that speak exactly against that point in your against time, which looks like, yes, Barbie probably inspires students, but Barbie also distracts students a lot in a lot of terms, in terms of how you should look like, what kind of like clothes you should wear, so on and so forth, which basically kind of like creates a lot of stereotypes against like clothing and all of that. So I think you'll always like speak against the same point that you made in your speech. So yes, you can always rebut your own points, which you talked about in for. The third thing that you need to know, that try to have an interesting switch, right? Because here's the thing, you're not supposed to make a very robotic speech which says that, hey, right now I'm going to talk for the motion and now I'll talk against the motion, which is very pale. So judges want something creative and interesting in terms of when you're shifting from for to against. So let's say it's 30 seconds and then for 1 minute I spoke for why Barbie is good. And then in order to switch from why Barbie is good to why Barbie is bad, you're supposed to have a line that basically shows two things. One, that you're switching your side, but two is also a very attention grabbing or like a thing for the panel and audience. So one of the examples could be that panel, forget everything what I said. So you can say, panel, forget everything what I said. I do not quite know what possessed me for the last 2 minutes. So what you're saying is you were possessed when you were talking for the motion. Now you're basically in your senses and you're talking against the motion. So it's basically a good way to switch from for to against. So you can use your own creativity in order to transition from for to against. We can probably, I can give you more examples the moment we're going to go in depth of the training. But this is something in terms of transition that you should look upon. Because listen, Turncoat is turning your coat. So the way how you turn your coat is very important in the speech format. So transition really, really matters a lot, and you have scores for transition. The fourth thing that you need to know is, again, I think you have equal number of arguments. So what does argument mean? That if you have 1 minute for speaking for the motion, or if you're supporting it, probably have 3 reasons why you should support it. And then if you're speaking against it, also have 3 reasons as to why you should oppose it. So if you're using 2 reasons for and 3 reasons against, that doesn't quite look like you're basically dividing your time equitably. You're supposed to have equal number of arguments for both sides. Lastly, you're supposed to make sure that you're using the last minutes, which means that 30 seconds to conclude in such a way where you're finding the balance between for and against. Are there any questions from this slide then? Vanya?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, my question is not from this slide.
Okay, is it okay? Go on.
Ma'am, will we get the topics for all 3 rounds tomorrow?
You'll get your topics for all 3 rounds today.
Okay, ma'am.
Avyukta? Okay, Prisha?
Ma'am, I actually had 2 doubts.
Go on.
Ma'am, the first doubt was that earlier the semi-final and final was online, right?
No, earlier semi-final and final was also offline. I know you're from MSDR. It was in Mumbai.
Prisha, this
Yeah.
time semi-final and final will be in Chandigarh offline, right? And we are not doing DA, by the way. We are doing Turncoat in this tournament. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am, I
How
forgot.
many, ma'am, how many children? Ma'am,
Yeah, Ira.
Saira, it's too soon to ask how many children are going to qualify. We will
But-
basically see how
yeah.
many people are going to be joining based
how
on your.
many children are going to be in the semi-finals?
Ira, we'll come to that. Let's go through the topics first. Let's first
Yeah.
focus on your preparation.
Your
Okay?
best,
Love your
yeah.
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what will happen in 3rd round?
Third round, you'll get your. So I think it's a question that you should could technically not ask, because all 3 rounds have topics which are different. So third round, you're supposed to prepare for the topic that
Same
is
thing,
given to
Sonali.
you.
Same thing. Like you're preparing for speeches in the first round, third round also you'll have a different topic. So Afrin ma'am, why don't we show them the topic? Should we do that? Or do you want to tell them about the twist with an example? Okay.
I think we have more to cover in terms of what happens in Turncoat.
Okay.
So this is exactly how your speech structure looks like. So introduction 30 seconds, arguments 1 minute, argument against 1 minute, conclusion 30 seconds. I'll give you a full example of how your speech should look like right now. So if the topic is this house would ban smoking, your introduction could probably look like giving statistics. So it could look like more than 3 billion people smoke in the world, and they tend to smoke because it gives them stress relief and dopamine rush. So I think in 30 seconds, you're just supposed to give a general brief introduction of what the topic is speaking about. And then you'll start as to what, like your arguments for the motion. So I can give 3 arguments for the motion. 1, it has worse like health impacts. You can also talk about lung cancer. You can talk about all the kinds of diseases that you get from smoking. Second, it affects environment, because the way how like it's basically made, the kind of like raw materials that are used, or in general the smoke that it creates is also bad for environment, but also the way how it is decomposed has bad effects. The third point, it harms children, because children are basically used as laborers and therefore it's just always bad that you're using children and exposing them to toxic material, right? So what you're supposed to do for that 1 minute is, yes, you have 3 points, but you're supposed to explain all of these 3 points in such a way that it convinces the judge that yes, smoking is actually bad. Then you'll transition from why smoking is good, like bad, to why smoking is good. So how can you transition here? So you will say, just because smoking has these harms that I told you does not mean you need to ban it, because there are all like there are also benefits of it, but like there is no benefit of banning it, which means that you should have alternatives to banning it in the first place. So you just said that yes, smoking has harms, but that doesn't justify as to why you should ban it. So I'm going to tell you as to why you shouldn't ban it. So you will go ahead and like give your arguments against the motion, which look like, first, it contributes to the economy because most of these smoking products are highly taxed, which means that government gets a lot of money out of it. Secondly, it is a choice of individuals because most people who are smoking are probably adults who can make informed choices for themselves. Thirdly, it gives them escapism from their life. I think we already talked about as to how it gives relief and all of that. So you can basically give like explanation to these points and then go ahead. And this again, you're supposed to be doing this for one minute. But how would you conclude this speech? So all in all, smoking is surely injurious to health, but banning it is not the solution. We should probably have rehabilitation centers and awareness camps in order to educate people regarding the bad effects of smoking. So you're basically doing that in 30 seconds. So the thing that you probably noticed here is I gave a general introduction. I also gave 3 points for proposition, 3 points for opposition, but my transition was creative. It wasn't like, hey, I've spoken for the motion and now I speak against the motion, but I gave a balanced conclusion. But again, I want to give a quick caution. I do not think that smoking in general is good. It's just for you to tell you, for you to know as to what you can do. So no, smoking is bad. But for the purpose of Turncoat, this is what is the example. Okay, so this was just the example of how Turncoat speeches look like. Okay, so what is the marking rubric? How can you make sure that you have good quality speech? I think so many people.
Afternoon, ma'am, is it okay if we just pause for a moment for the earlier one? I want to make sure all of you are well prepared. So is there any question? And it's all right if you think the pace is too much. If it's okay if you still have a question. This is the time I want to make sure you encourage. Are you all clear on the structure?
Yes, ma'am, we are clear.
You're clear on the structure?
I have no question.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
I have a
So
doubt,
let's
ma'am.
go one by one. I think we are maintaining a great discipline of keeping our hands up. So let's go one by one. So Adamji, do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the introduction, we have to do the introduction of our own also.
So
Yeah.
that introduction is not within 3 minutes. This particular structure is for like within 3 minutes, but you can always, before you start your speech, you can always tell who you are. I don't know that. That's not.
Adamji, you can use one line for your introduction, but the 30 seconds that you have for introduction is about the introduction of the context of your topic, right? So use it for what you want to say. Then you're going to say for, that you're going to say against, then you're going to conclude. Can you keep on the structure, Afreen, for a second? Is there any other question that anybody has on introductions?
I had to ask that, like, do we have to speak that now I'm going to speak on arguments, now I'm going to speak on transition, or we just have to continue?
No, so it's for you to know in your head as to what your structure should look like. But the realistic way how it will start is that literally from more than 3 billion people smoke in the world. So it's just you not saying that I'm going to introduce the topic, but you're basically using that structure in your head in order to prepare your speech. Also, you're not supposed to say, now I'm going to give you arguments for the motion. You're supposed to say, let me tell you.
Sorry, carry on, Afreen.
Yeah,
Mansura,
so when you're talking for the motion, you're supposed to say, let me tell you 3 reasons why we should absolutely ban smoking. And then first, it has worst health impact. So this is how you would start. But when you're transitioning, by the end of your 3rd point for the motion, you will say, just because smoking has these harms that I told you, doesn't mean that we should ban smoking. I think there are alternative ways to solve it, but there are also some benefits of smoking that I need to tell you. And then you can start with 1. It contributes to the economy. So it's just very organic rather than structural. It's the structure is for you to in order to prepare
Yeah.
your
So
speech.
the point is, you can think of a fun transition also. You can say,
Yeah,
I don't know why I felt the pressure to encourage, smoking, but or not smoking. So you can make it fun also. You can add some sort of a twist, but focus on the content, right? So don't worry about, I don't need to know you are in which school, which grade. I know it all. Use that introduction time, use the content time to speak to us about the topic itself. That's where you will gain points. Any
Excuse,
other
Excuse me,
questions?
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
more.
I want to ask a question.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Kanakya.
Excuse me, ma'am. How much time period should be there for transition?
Just a quick one sentence, not more than that.
Excuse
After
me,
you go
ma'am.
back to your earlier slide. Yeah, Ikamjot.
excuse me, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
No, the one earlier. Just one second. I just want to show you some transition example that Afreen ma'am had earlier. So it's like, look at the yellow parts, the yellow sentences. Panel, I forgot I ever said that. I don't know what possessed me for the last 1 minute. These are fun transitions to do. So don't spend time on transition, because like Afreen ma'am said, the judge will measure you. If you gave 2 arguments for, then you should give 2 arguments again. If you gave 3 arguments for, then you should give 3 arguments again. Turncoat has to be balanced. You will lose marks. If you give 1 argument for and give me 4 arguments against, then I'll say, oh, poor thing, he's lost his mark on method. Right? So quickly, there are so many hands over here. I want to go through the last 2 things because you will miss out on that. So let's just finish and I'll come back to your doubts. Otherwise, just put it on the chat, please.
Excuse me,
So, ma'am, I just want to ask you one question.
Okay, go ahead, quickly.
Ma'am, ma'am, just in case, like for the topic, I say something that is irretraceable and cannot be combated by the other this thing, or vice versa. Ma'am, can I move on smoothly with this, or do I have to cut that point and
No,
add
yeah.
a
So
point for it?
it's always good that you cut your own point, but if you can't, I mean, if you have absolute points which you don't think can't be cut, firstly, there is nothing absolute in debating, so you can always cut them. But if you think it's not that strong, then you can have alternative points as well.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Ma'am, just one question. After we finish, if we exceed more than 3 minutes, is our marks going to be cut or will they not be considered?
Will not be considered.
Both. So one, whatever you
Excuse
see
me,
after
ma'am.
minutes, nothing is going to be considered. And secondly, they'll also cut your marks. So don't do that.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, Rita.
Ma'am, for the like middle one, 7 to 9th, it is like time limit is 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
So you will do 30, 1.5, 1.5, 30 seconds.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure, no worries. Ira, you have so many questions, so hold on. Adam, I've answered a few. Riddhi, go ahead. You haven't asked a question.
Ma'am, I just want to ask that the topic you will be giving in the semi-finals or finals, the topic will be of the topic you gave, or it
We'll
will
come to you. We'll come to that much later, but obviously we don't repeat the topics. What's the fun in that, right? Hold on. Okay, so let's just see what the judge is going to measure us on. He measures us on 3 M's. Okay, matter, manner, method. And quickly, Afreen, I'll just give you a break. Matter is definitely what you are saying. How relevant is it to the topic and the side that you're taking in that moment, and the quality of the argument with an example. So it's always important to substantiate with example, right? So I want to go down to play. And if I say I want to go down to play because 3 of my friends have come down, your mother is more convinced. So give an example, right? Manner, presentation, eye contact. You don't want to be looking like this. You know, when students read and I can just see only, I'm like, he's not looking at me at all. So rest, write your script down. 3 minutes normally means 180 words, 200 words at max, but you don't want to sound like a very fast moving train. So 180 words is a good 3-minute speech. Practice it in front of the mirror. Underline the key points, underline the highlighted points, so that even if you keep it for your reference, then you know that, okay, I shouldn't miss, right? So, but like I'm saying that you don't want to be looking like this continuously, right? So get comfortable with what you're going to say. Please write your speech and understand your speech. We don't want that parents are helping you to such an extent that you can't even say the word they've written. You should understand your speech, right? You will feel more confident about it. We know the vocabulary levels of an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old. You don't want to sound like a 16-year-old. So be careful about those ones. Okay. Don't look uncomfortable. Don't get uncomfortable. Method is going to be about, did you cover both the sides well? Because that's the beauty of Turncoat, right? And like Afreen ma'am was saying, cut your own point. So if you said for the motion and gave us an evidence on that, try to rebut the same point when you go against the motion, right? And have the same number of arguments. Do not make this mistake. This is like a no-brainer. आपने 2 argument for दिए हैं, तो आप 2 argument against दीजिए, right? So if you're going to, and don't try to do 10 arguments, you can't do it. So it's not fair in that time that you have. So try to have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 maximum, but balance it. It's better to have 2 arguments which have an example than to have 5 arguments for. Okay, flesh out your argument. Like I said, I want to go down to play. My mother will not even turn around her head. Mama, I want to go down to play because 3 of my friends have come down to play, and I just feel so much healthier, and I will focus on my homework because I'll be fresh. She listens to me, right? And then I will drink my milk even better. Okay, so with that, let's move to the motion. So this is exactly what the judges are going to mark you on. That's why we're giving it to you right now. Afreen ma'am, can we just discuss the topic so that if they have any topic doubts, that's very important to solve?
Yeah, sure. So I think just one thing that I want to add in manner though, because it's presentation eye contact, that is why you're not supposed to read your entire speech. So do not read your entire speech again, but if you can make sure that you're having full confidence in expression, even when you're referring to a document, it's all right, you can do that. But please don't say afterwards that somebody else used a paper, I did not, my marks should be more. They probably were more confident, they probably had better eye contact, etc., even though they were using papers. It's not about whether you're using paper, it's about how the judge perceives you, even when you're using paper. So be smart, guys. Okay, so quick clarifications on motion before I actually release motion. All 3 rounds for Turncoat will have different motions. So round 1 will have different, second and third, all 3 different motions. Second, attending and preparing for all rounds is mandatory. You can't pick and choose which round you want to attend. I do know that it becomes difficult for all of you all to probably debate or like prepare for 3 speeches, but this is why this is a very competitive tournament. You're supposed to start working from now on, which is why we're giving you the topics right now. Today is 31st. You still have 4 days to prepare on the 3 topics. So please prepare and attend all the 3 rounds. So average of all rounds will be considered for qualification. So your scores for each round is going to be seen, and then average of all 3 rounds are going to be seen. So whoever has better average again qualifies to semifinals. You can refer to sheets for giving your speech, but do not read your entire speech. With that, I'm gonna announce the motions for Turncoat. The motion for round 1 for junior category is popular culture should be a means of escape and relaxation. What it means is that the way how we use media, which looks like movies, shows, even if it is cartoon, that's okay, but it should only be a means of relaxation as an escape. Relaxation means if I have done my homework or if I'm coming from my job after work, I should probably only watch pop culture as a means to just get relaxation, because again, it's entertainment at the end of the day, right? But the opposite of it could look like you getting inspiration of popular culture, you getting educated from popular culture, etc. So all of these movies on history, all of these movies on real life miseries, etc., could come on the opposite. So on proposition, which means that for when you're supporting it, you would say why popular culture should probably be made in such a way that gives relaxation to people. People enjoy it, people laugh out of it. But on the time when you're going to talk about why popular culture should probably when you're talking against the motion, you're going to say why popular culture should not only be a means of escapism, it should also be a means of, let's say, getting educated, or let's say creating messages, which means that probably talking about women's rights or probably talking about minority rights, etc. Right? So I'm just, more than that is probably going to be me giving you arguments. So this is what the clarification for round 1 looks like. Are there any doubts on motion 1? Gurkam, do you have a doubt?
Yes, ma'am. I had a doubt that will be there any rebuttal round?
So here's the thing, right? You don't need a rebuttal round when it is Turncoat, because you're getting 1 minute for the motion and 1 minute against the motion. So in the against motion, you're obviously rebutting your own self. So you don't need a specific rebuttal round. Okay, Vardhan.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of popular culture?
Popular culture means movies, entertainment shows, series, cartoons, everything.
Yeah. And Ira, please raise your hand before you speak. Yeah, Vardhan.
Ma'am, in round one, popular culture should be a means of escape and relaxation. So, in the motion of against, we will be speaking that how will we go about it?
So as I explained earlier, when you're going against, you're going to say that it's not just about relaxation when you watch movies, it's also about education, inspiration. For example, if I am a person who is watching let's say a movie about Superman, even though it gives me enjoyment, it also probably inspires me to help others, right? So why that helping others should be a message that should be in movies is really important. So it's not just for you to get relaxed, it's not just for you to laugh, it's also for you to learn something out of it. It's also for you to get inspired, educated, you know, and have awareness about what's happening in society, right? So relaxed movies versus serious movies, it could be like that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And when
so
you look at a motion, right, Vardhan, what's up for you to do is to define it your way. So I could have done this differently to say, I'm not going to talk about popular culture, but I'm going to talk about something else could have also been a means of relaxation and escape. And when you're setting the context in the first 30 seconds is what you will do. When you're
Yeah.
introducing about what your point of view is, and then say for, and then say against, and then you conclude your balanced view. Right?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point again, because in against you can always talk about why only movies for me to get relaxed, why are there not other means to get relaxed, right?
So every word in a motion is up for you to define, right? Okay, yeah, Sonali, iPhone. Yes, Sonali's iPhone, okay. Any other doubts, please ask. This is a good time to do it because this is what is going to set your knowledge base. Sonali's iPhone.
Can we move to round two? Okay, I think that top.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Ma'am, like after the junior, you will give for the middle's one, right?
Yeah, I will.
Excuse
Okay.
me, ma'am.
Yes, Gitanjali.
Ma'am, could the transition for all be the same? Like every speech, the same.
If you can come up with that one transition that can be used in all motions, sure.
Ma'am, we will get the next topic in round 2 also.
Yes.
You just the slide, Afreen. Yeah, let's go.
Round one. I think everybody understands round one now. Let's move to round two. So the motion for round two is this house regrets the representation of minorities where people of different community play the roles. I know it's probably thoda difficult, but I'll explain it for you. So regrets means you find it bad. So you can always only regret something when you think it is bad or it's harmful. So what are you thinking is regretful or harmful on-side proposition or when you're supporting the motion? So while supporting the motion, you're saying that, you know how there are different movies which talk about minority communities of a particular place. For example, let's say in America, you're talking about Black community. So we regret the fact that if a movie is about Black people in America, it should be something where the community in of itself is getting represented by those roles. So if it is about Black community in America, somebody from the Black community should only play that role rather than somebody else necessarily getting makeup and then representing Black community, right? So if it is, let's say, tribal community in India, then a tribal actor should only play that role rather than somebody else trying to act like them, right? So why should it be the case?
So let's pause and tell me if you have a doubt. I mean, that's a good explanation, Afreen. I thought that, you know, somebody who's from a tribal community should play the role versus somebody else who's not from tribal, but just an actor who's like a Bollywood star. Is the emotion clear to all of you? Any doubt on that, Gitanjali? Go ahead. Naira, go ahead.
Ma'am, can you please explain this once again?
Okay,
Yes.
give us a second. Let me just gather the other doubts. They just go ahead.
Can you repeat?
Coming. Okay. If you want to repeat, I'll just repeat that once again. So after let's do that just
Ma'am,
with
I
one.
was about to ask the same question only.
Let's just advance. Thank you so much, Tejas. That was loud and clear.
So I
So
can just make it like when you're supporting it, what you're supposed to actually have in terms of your stance. When you're supporting it, you're going to say that if a movie is about tribal community or a particular community, the same people should only play the role. So an actor from tribal community should play the role rather than an actor which is not from the tribal community.
Sir, I'm thinking of Mary Com, you know. So should somebody from Northeast only have played Mary Com, or somebody else could have done that? Mary
Yeah.
Com, the boxer, that movie. So think about it. Then minorities are normally sections of our societies that are underrepresented. They don't form the majority, right? So think about it. Now we can't give you more clues than that. Right?
Yeah. So what are the harms of, let's say, Priyanka Chopra playing role of Mary Com is the proposition side, but the opposition side will be what are the benefits of Priyanka Chopra like playing that role? There could be so many things that you can talk about, but are there any questions on this then? Ekam Jyot.
Ma'am, we have to prepare only one topic for the.
They gave
No,
the topics to
three topics you're supposed to prepare for different rounds.
the people of a different community play the roles.
Yeah,
Okay.
very that's correct. Let's go to the third motion round.
Gurukam, do you have a doubt?
Yes, ma'am. Can you just tell some examples of the topics?
So I already gave. So Maricom in the movie Maricom, you had somebody from. So Priyanka Chopra isn't from Northeast, but Maricom was from Northeast, right? And technically, like all people who come from Northeast are considered minorities because they're not represented properly when it comes to the mainstream India. So what are the harms of, let's say, Priyanka Chopra playing Maricom in the movie, where technically there should have been somebody from Northeast playing that role? So you could probably think through it and come up with arguments, because more than that would be me giving you arguments which I don't want to.
Ma'am, what is the second topic?
This is the second topic. I've already given you the first topic. This is the second topic. I'll give you the third topic.
Can you show the first topic?
Yes. So I think you can always go back to the training, but I'm always going to share you the PDF with you. So yes, if you still have doubts, you can always text
Ma'am, please.
And I will.
Ma'am, please proceed further.
Yes.
We'll come to that. Don't worry. It's a
Let's go
small
to
group. We deliberately going one by one. Okay. Third round now, Afi.
The third round is This House Regrets the Glorification of Suffering in Music. Have you heard those songs where you see pain, crying, all the sorts of, let's say, like negative emotions, where you basically portray suffering of individuals? If it could be suffering of poor people, it could be suffering of individuals, all of that. But you necessarily see when you are glorifying suffering, it looks like you necessarily appreciating, or you necessarily like over like dramatizing the existence of that suffering to those individuals in music. So what are the harms of glorification of suffering is what you're supposed to speak for the motion. And when you're saying against the motion, you can say, no, I think glorification of suffering doesn't necessarily do anything bad. It's good because it probably does something or some benefit to the people who are suffering, or in general to the mass audience. So this is what glorification of suffering looks like.
Ma'am, please also show the second topic.
You will get the PDF. But if you have any doubts on this, please let me know.
Ma'am, please show the second topic too.
I
It
will.
will be shared with you. It will be shared with you shortly. So hold on. Any question?
Ma'am, what does this house
Ma'am,
mean?
maybe.
Yeah, if you're clear.
This house is just your start. Basically, why you regret it and why you support it.
There was a question coming in. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, we have to say about North India only, or we have to say about whole over India?
So North India was just an example. I mean, you can, like in New Northeast India was just an example, but you can use anything all over the world. It's not specific to India. These motions are not specific to India. You can use examples from Hollywood. You can use examples from K-pop. Anything is fine.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Can we get the recording of it?
You will
Yeah.
receive the recording, yes.
Ma'am, from where?
Right. So with that, any other further questions? Afreen, were you towards the end of the session?
Yes, I'm
Ma'am?
supposed to share middle school topics now.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Ira.
what is, can I also give world examples?
We should, absolutely.
And what do you mean by sadness in music?
Yeah. I mean, have you heard of the sad song?
Yes,
Like
yes.
sad songs? Don't they make you sad? Doesn't that influence you? It really pulls me down.
There are so many sad songs which are just unnecessarily glorified.
So we're just wondering whether they should allow them to always play sad songs, because it, you know, I become very sad with the sad songs. Think about it. So one is that the artist might say, hey, listen, I am sad. I want to sing sad songs. But I'm like, so let's now think about falling into emotion. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Mohit.
ma'am, can you explain again the third point?
Yeah, which is what I was saying. So Afreen, आप एक बार display कर दो. Let's just
दो
let the
टॉपिक प्रिपेयर करने हैं सुनो मैंने कहा दो पॉइंट प्रिपेयर करना मैक्सिमम तो 2 पॉइंट हम रखेंगे इसके मतलब फॉर
Hey, sir, your strategy is
ट्रांजिशन के लिए ट्रांजिशन की लाइन हम ऐसे बना सकते हैं
Sharveer, your strategy is getting leaked.
It's okay, I've muted him. Just show the slides once. Okay, everybody, now let's get serious. You have to be super comfortable with the topic. Ask your doubts. Okay.
Yes.
Up सारे 3 topics दिखा दो. So, and then we can, anyways, we'll circulate the middle ones also in the middle group.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we're doing the topic show once more, but don't worry. We just the moment you get us off the call, we'll be putting all these recordings back. Right? So
This is the first motion. Popular culture should be a means of escape and relaxation. Second motion is this house regrets the representation of minorities where people of a different community play the roles. Third motion is this house regrets the glorification of suffering in music. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt in round 3.
Huh. Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, do we have to talk about a particular song or singer?
So it's not about particular. The more examples you use, the better, because it will probably support your claims. But it's not only about one singer or one song. There are so many songs which glorify suffering. But it's not also about examples. It's about why should we not do this? Then harms of it.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, like for the qualifiers, we've already been given the topics. So, ma'am, for the semi-finals and finals, will we be given the topics beforehand or on the spot?
It's too soon to ask this question, but we do a mix of both. So you will get some topics beforehand, some topics on the spot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, is it, do we have to give an example of one particular person, or can the example just be in general?
It could be a general example. It's all you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah, just on Gitanjali's question, Gitanjali, normally what happens is the judge will have around 7, 8 kids in one go. They will go one after another on their speeches, right? So, but that information will be shared with you on the 3rd day. Right now, we just want to make sure that you are completely clued on to the topics. If there are any questions to ask, you can also use the WhatsApp group to just type over there. And we are nearly end of the training. So, Afreen ma'am, if we are good to go, let us know whether we can conclude this and then share the recording shortly.
Can you just share the first slide again?
Yeah, we will. We'll just
You
share,
get
Perry, you
that.
know this well. Recording and the slides will just be shared. So with that, should we call it a day? Unless you have a doubt on Turncoat, utilize ma'am's time right now.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Let's go one by one, Riya Vidhi.
Ma'am, please explain.
What are the topics for middle?
Yeah, after in middle, we was to show once, right? All the junior, you can exit.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what does the house stand
So that's
in
That's
the
a good
question?
question.
yeah, you saying why not. So it's just a debate jargon. You don't need to get into it, but it's just that whether you support it, whether you are against it. The house is just a body which either supports it or opposes it.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, what are the examples of sad songs?
You can research about that and let me know too, because I'm not going to give you examples because it's basically me helping you with your speech test.
After your test is starting
Okay,
shortly, so we'll conclude the session.
Yes.
Ma'am, I by mistake participated in debate when I wanted to participate in speech. So, ma'am, I sent an email. When will I get the reply?
If you've written to Ogly, you will have to give us 24 hours. So by the time we are sitting in the evening, you will get that reply back. Right? So give us some time. We'll just make,
Ma'am, so should I start preparing?
yeah, you can. You can. But we'll revert to it. You put your name and everything, right? Properly.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll just get on to it. That's why I want to make sure that now, if you have further questions, don't worry about it. We are around on WhatsApp. You know how to reach us. So we'll keep answering it. But for
Ma'am,
now, let's conclude this
ask-
session. Yeah.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
I want to ask you, junior group means the
Afrin, are you able to?
the
Afrin, are you able to hear Agam? Up middle ke up just show the motions once so that the middle students also have it for any clarification that they may have.
Okay.
Juniors, you
All
can leave.
juniors, you guys can leave. All the best for your turncoat preparation. If you have any doubts, please put them on the WhatsApp group. Okay, the turncoat topic for round 1 for middle category is mainstream celebrities should either take a political stance in all situations or none. It looks like, so mainstream celebrities are basically all the popular celebrities that you know. So it could look like, and celebrities don't necessarily have to be, let's say, actors. It could also be Mahendra Singh Dhoni. It could also be, let's say, like literally all the popular figures that you know, right? So it could be actors, it could be sports persons, all the celebrities, it could be influencers, etc., etc. So yes, mainstream celebrities should either take a political stance. So political stance could be ongoing issue that is basically happening in a country. It could be, let's say, a policy that has been implemented in a country that probably people do not like or people like, or it could be, let's say, elections in a particular country, or it could basically be political stance on different political issues that exist. It could be protests in a country, it could be international issues between countries, etc. So what it says is either you take stance on all issues or you don't take stance on any issue. So when you're supporting it, you're saying that that you're supposed to either take stance on all issues, which means that why you should have a say in all issues, or you should have stance is no issues. But on opposition, when you're against it, you can see that it's okay for people to pick and choose, or just the opposite of it. So it's not necessary for celebrities to actually say anything, or why, let's say, it's always good for you to, like, let's say, specifically choose things and then speak about it rather than like speaking about everything, or rather than speaking about nothing, right? So yeah, I think there are questions. Just please. Jaspreet, do you have a question?
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, you have been telling that if in case a candidate or a participant has any query, they can put that up on a WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
But some of the students from our school has not received the link to join that WhatsApp group. Can you help me with that link, please?
Sure. I think we'll probably send the link again on the group so that it's just you guys can just share it with the other members. But yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. Or how about you just reach out to Hello Ogly and then we can just send you the link and then you can probably send it to other students.
So should I drop a mail at the given mail ID?
Yes, sure, please.
Thank you so much.
Agamveer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What's your doubt?
It's nothing. I just forgot to unraise it.
Okay, Trida.
So basically, my doubt was that I still can't understand what do you mean by like a political stance.
So for example, I am a celebrity and there's something happening in the country and the country is there are protests probably against a particular policy. Should I take a stance on that? And there are so many things that keep happening in terms of political stance. It could be elections, it could be protests, or it could be just like a tussle between different communities. It could be issues between different states. It could be issues between different countries. It could be a lot of things. So there are so many things that are happening in terms of political stance. So as a celebrity, should you take stance on everything and or nothing on proposition? Or as a celebrity, should you basically just pick and choose as to what your interest is and then take a stance? So that's what the
Ma'am, one more thing that, like for example, right now, like on most of the news channels, the Manipur thing is going on. So like that only, like if they would take a chance, and when we'll speak the like the speech, so we can tell that it's not important that they have to take a stance on each and everything. It might,
on
make
opposition.
their
Yeah,
repetition.
on opposition, you can say that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, correct. Okay, let's move to the second topic then. It says sensitive issues can be dealt with through ethical jokes in the culture of stand-up comedy. This means that it's okay for stand-up comedians to make some ethical jokes on sensitive issues. Now, this is specifically, let's say, to I think it's something similar, right? So sensitive issues could be, let's say, about again, policies in a country, where you see a couple of comedians literally making fun of some certain policies in order to tell people as to why that policy is probably bad. It could also be people making fun of politicians. It could also be, let's say, people making fun of certain problems that particular people face in order to recognize that problem exists. So it's called ethical jokes, which means that you can't go out of your way to actually joke about it, but you're making it ethically. You're making moral jokes. Which is probably not offensive to majority of people, but the fact that it's a joke, it's likely to be offensive. So that's something which is up to you. But yeah, sensitive, should we make jokes about it or should we not make jokes about sensitive issues? That's the idea of the motion. Are there any doubts? If no doubts, we'll move to the next slide. Yes.
What are sensitive issues standards?
As I said, I think sensitive issues is something that you can identify by your research, but I gave you example. Sensitive issues could be political issues that are existing in a country, communal issues between a country, like within countries. I think sensitive issues could be just like a lot of critical issues. I can just give you example. I think it could also be mental health and all of that. So these are sensitive to people. People might get offended by it, which is why it is sensitive and something that impacts people. So yes, these are sensitive issues.
And ma'am, in this speech, can K-pop be a part of it?
In this stage?
Can K-pop be a part of it?
As in stage, what do you mean by stage?
No, I mean K-pop, which is like Korean pop.
Yeah, but how are you linking like stand-up comedy to K-pop?
Like there are many stand-up
People who
comedians make fun of that.
K-pop. Yeah, sure. But why is it sensitive issue?
Many people are a fan of it, so they got offended very easily.
It could be sensitive issue then. That's how you justify that it's a sensitive issue. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Just breathe. Okay, I think it's from before. Let's move on to the third topic, which has a context slide. So context slide says, Urdu poetry has described people's relation with land time and again. A lot of such poetry focuses on the search of the pure homeland, as it was known to the poet. The motion then stands. The quest for one's own land must not be glorified in influential works of art. Are there any questions?
Could you please explain the context?
Yes. The context is like how there is a specific genre of poetry which basically tells you that your understanding of life, or like So for example, I am from India and I am linked in terms of India in saying that this is my pure homeland. I relate with that. But some people might not relate with the kind of homeland that they actually are in, which looks like people should probably have the ability to choose their own homeland simply because it's lottery of birth, right? Which means that I did not choose to be in India. But the fact that I am born in India, I love it, and I have to stay in India, right? So this is just an example because like some people love the fact that they are from a particular country, they're from a particular background, they're from a particular geography, etc. But some people might not like it. Probably people who are not born in places which are not completely resourceful, probably might not like it. So what the motion says is that the quest, which means that when you're basically finding your own land, should not be glorified. So the very fact that, you should probably find your own homeland, which is basically the best for you. Probably you looking around, moving from place to place in order to find which land is probably the best for you, should not be something which is glorified in influential work or art. So what are the harms of you continuously finding the best place for you, or what are the benefits of you trying to continuously find the best land for you or homeland for you? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. I think that's pretty much it then. If you guys have any doubt, Turncoat, you're always supposed to join back tomorrow, and we'll have a quick, or rather deliberate training on Turncoat, on WSDC, my bad. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys can leave now.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I have a question that in the round 3-1, I have two confusions. That in this you mean by that one should be not glorifying it that see, I'm from India, such a nice country,
No,
or
it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It means that it shouldn't be portrayed in an art piece, which means that it shouldn't be portrayed in literature, or let's say like books, etc. That what your purpose in life is to find the best land for you, which looks like, hey, even if you are from a particular state, you should probably find it. That's probably not the best for you. You should probably feel more connected to a land rather than you just being born out of it and then feeling connectivity in that land.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, it is if I'm born and brought up in India, but I want to but when I grow up, I want to settle down in any other country like US, South Korea, or anywhere.
You probably feel connected to that place. Yes. So that's you buying into the narrative of why you should have a whole journey of finding the best land for yourself.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, the context of the round 3 will be sent in the group, right?
Everything will be sent, yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, like you said, in semi-final also we have 3 rounds of
No, in semi-finals, it's going to be 1 round itself. Semi-finals is going to be knockout round. So we'll give you 1 topic, and then whoever is the best out of that will go to finals.
You will be giving topic, or it would be from the topics you gave just now?
We will give you another topic.
So at that time, we have to prepare speech by our own?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Then you guys can leave. All the best, work hard, and if you have any doubts, always message on WhatsApp group.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
For the correction of the speech, can we send you the speech?
No, because that will be a little bit cheating, because I think firstly I can't, and I wouldn't be able to correct most of the speeches, and secondly I think it's more about your individual performance. So I'm going to be judging you in semi-finals and finals. I don't want to have a bias about somebody, so that will probably be me being biased about certain speech. I don't want to do that.